Now we are moving forward to the next fireside chat that we have. Before we start the last panel, it's a quick, very interesting fireside chat on driving distribution success with NexC. So for this, to talk about this, we have Mr. Sanjay Duda, CEO Planetcast. Please put your hands together and join me in welcoming Mr. Sanjay, who is on stage in conversation with Mr. Anil NM Wanvari, founder, chairman, and editor-in-chief, IndianTelevision.com Group.
So let's begin. Sanjay, you've been a pioneer at many things, SL Sham Days, now Planetcast. So what are the major trends you're seeing in terms of the entire pipeline, the workflows that are going on in terms of production, acquisition, creation, production, acquisition, distribution? What are the major trends you're seeing?
Hi, Anil. Thank you. Well, we have been listening to some very interesting sessions, and the more you hear, the more you get confused. You think you know something, then you hear something else. But largely, what we have seen in the last 25 years, and more so in the last, I would say, 5-7 years, that most of the trends are being driven by the fact that on both sides, production and consumption, the creation environment is exploding. There are large, medium, very small content creators, and they need to deliver to ever-increasing profiles of people, viewers, who are viewing across multiple devices. So there are multiple options for delivery, and there are multiple creators on this side. So this actually is what is creating most of the pressure, creating most of the, I would say, giving direction to development. Clearly, content will always be king. It will always be the most important determinant of success. So the main, I would say, the stress right now is how do you get your content to the right cohorts of viewers? How do you monetize your content? How do you get your money for the content that you have created in the most effective and efficient way? And how do you retain your viewers time after time? Slowly, earlier, this whole pipeline had multiple stages, multiple players. There were 3 or 4 middlemen, so to speak, who were, there was a content creator, then the content creators used to provide the content to a large broadcaster, an aggregator, then they used to then process that and then deliver it to the next stage for maybe creating linear channels for playout, or and slowly creating VOD assets. Then it used to go to the next digital platform or a cable platform, cable head end, or a DTH head end, from where it was then distributed to final consumers who were managed by local cable operators or a DTH operator. This whole pipeline was well-oiled. There were clear business models, and people were making money. But now what has happened is everything has been disrupted by the fact that the entire environment has become digital. And we are seeing that the content creator is increasingly able to see who is viewing the content. And everything is getting driven by data. Information on who is viewing the content, how long they have been viewing the content, and that has determined, that has kind of created avenues for many technologies to come in, which will, advertising, targeted advertising, so that you can earn more for every viewer that you are reaching. So this is how the overall ecosystem has changed. From a production perspective, how this has now forced people, forced creators to think, innovate on how do you produce content. Content is of 2-3 types. One is the live content, which is actually driving this pipeline. And then there is the the episodic content, then there's the user-generated content. The UGC content technologies are driven by the fact that users should be very easily able to create, curate, and deliver the content. The GECs or the episodic content or the movies, which is the library content, has its own non-linear production behavior. There are also technologies that have changed. There's a lot of VFX, a lot of virtual productions. All the world is changing so that you don't have to create one studio and then break it down and create it again for the next show. And in between this is the live. In the live content aggregation, there are a lot more changes. There's a lot of immersive content coming in. There is now people are looking at 360 cameras at the venue, creating a kind of a remote viewer or an e-viewer kind of a situation. Also now, data regarding the content that's going in is also traveling with it. So there's for sports, for example, all the information about the players is traveling along with it. A lot of the times, you can create a game. Already it's happening. Based on the performance of the players, the rating is determined on a daily basis, and there's a whole gaming industry around it. So these are the things that are driving the production technology at this end.
Yep, that's fascinating. You actually gave us a tour of how the evolution has happened, and I could picture it enough. How many of you all understood what he was saying? Put up your hands. And how many of you all related to it? Prashant did. I can see him scratching his head. Okay. And so did the other gentleman. So fantastic. Now, this evolution has happened. Where does your company come into play? Because you were a playout station, you were an uplinking, you provided uplinking facilities.
Yeah.
And Prashant was one of your first customers.
Absolutely.
And he continues to be a customer.
He continues to be our
customer. And he boasts about it also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, we have been together. We have gone through this journey together, ups and downs, and we have survived, of course. So yes, I think all the players in this industry have seen change. Initially, there was some amount of, I would say, denial, and then acceptance, then innovation, and then change. So we started our journey providing essentially distribution over satellite, bringing live videos from the from the arenas. It could be news or it could be sports, but largely satellite driven. And we created a huge infrastructure for it.
So that was uplinking and downlinking.
It was uplinking, DSNG services. We were the first. We set up the first commercial teleport in the country. And then as the media industry was growing rapidly in the country, our only thought was, how do we create more teleports? How do we set up more facilities at that point of time? Then we saw that with this change happening, the need to, there were two things that were happening. People were going into a zone where they were not too sure. Earlier, most of our services were, because we needed to invest a lot of money to set up this infrastructure to provide services to our 4 or 5 customers. We used to obviously have 5-year agreements, 10-year agreements. But as we all have stepped into a world where people have to keep trying, the viewers or the consumers have become very choice-oriented. They don't want to watch a particular, let's say, a channel or a particular platform all the time. They need to the right to stop the subscription and go somewhere else. Similarly, all the broadcasters, therefore, they would also like to experiment, but if they have to be tied down with 3-year, 5-year contracts, they won't go there. So therefore, we've also realized that we need to create solutions which are flexible in terms of commitment from customers. And eventually, we, as some of these services become robust and they're accepted, then you automatically see long-term commitments.
I understand. So that's where NexC comes in.
So what we did was we have expanded. I won't say moved. We have expanded from very infrastructure-heavy services to a platform-driven set of platform-driven services. We are moving from our on-prem to cloud. What that has done is, on cloud, you are able to, there are two things you can do. One is that your services can be flexible in terms of commitments from the customer, and you can deliver services globally, anywhere. It connects up the entire world and opens it up to you. Whereas infrastructure-based services, you need to set up something, and they're very regional in their, in their influence. Now, NexC, what NexC does is, we have seen over the years, the content journey, it has 4 individual stages.
Which is what you talked about earlier.
Correct. So one stage is the creation, where you're creating the content. Once you've created the content needs to be, I would say, made addressable. There is a lot of data that has to be attached. Meta tagging has to be done. Content has to be prepared for consumption. You have to check it for quality, technical quality, SNP, to make sure it meets with the content rules and regulations of based on where you want to sell the content. And you also then create another layer of it, which is localization. If you're sending, if I'm creating content in India and the broadcaster wants, or the publisher wants to deliver it in Korea or Middle East or Malaysia, so there's requirement for subtitling, dubbing, and SNP. These are the localization inputs that go into the client. So that part is essentially content management part. Then when you've made the content, there is need to create promos around it so that you are able to market your content. So then we have the post-production where you do on-air promotion, or creating OEPs, or creating teasers. That's the second part of the journey, the stage that the content goes through. Now, these days, once that is done, your content is essentially ready for consumption. Either it will go as a VOD asset, which is then delivered to an OTT platform, or it could be archived for later use, or it could be sent to a playout solution where it is converted into a linear stream. So that is the third stage. And once it's created into a linear stream, it is then delivered to either directly to customers, or it could be delivered to a cable operator, or a digital head end, or a fast, TV channel, or a fast, what you call, a fast digital head end. And so delivery is the other aspect of it. So essentially, the content, once it's created, it moves from stage to stage to stage to the final destination, which could be your handsets, where you're watching it either on Instagram, you could be watching it on YouTube, on Meta. So every platform has its own technical specs, and you need to create that content for each spec. Or it can be delivered to a teleport from where it can be uplinked, or it can be delivered to a digital head-end from where it's delivered on OTT through an OTT platform. These 3 main solutions, or you can say modules, we have been involved with all of these 3 modules over the period of time. First, we started with essentially delivery, then we did playouts, and I would say maybe 6-7 years ago, we got into the post-production domain. And now, since we realized that we need to go global, we need to go on cloud, the need was to put it all together under a single platform, under a single umbrella, so to speak. What we found was that it missed only the last stage, which is the OTT. Why we did not go very aggressively initially for OTT was because everybody was wanting to set up their own OTTs. But we have seen over the years now, and we know that it's going to happen sooner, people will eventually want to outsource the OTT function as well. Because right now, every OTT has different feature sets. Every OTT player believes that their OTT has something very special that only they know, they have created. Eventually, all OTT technology will become quite standard. All features will be offered quite standard. And that is where everybody will want to outsource it. It is just a technical platform, and that's what it is. So we, therefore, put together the entire set of solutions, right from acquisition to delivery to consumption. And this year named NexC.
C stands for cloud or next?
C stands for comprehensive.
Comprehensive.
Yeah. And incidentally, it rhymes with sexy. So we thought, why not?
Fantastic. That's great. So, and you found customers for it so far within India and overseas?
Yes. In fact, we had customers who were using these, each of these modules anyway. So as we have started evangelizing the NexC concept, it becomes automatically an upgrade for them. And we are able to upsell the other stages, other services on either side of what they're using. A playout or customer is ready to utilize the content aggregation bit. A content aggregation customer is happy to do post-production with us. So that we find that it's a very, I would say, easy to sell, easy to manage platform. And like we have seen in almost everything, in all these technologies, what you've seen is you think of all the problems that you're solving and you create a product. And once the product is used, it starts generating its own workflows, its own advantages, and it creates another set of development requirements on top of it. We are already seeing that, because everything is on a single platform, you're saving a lot of multiple functions. It's a single sign-on, common database. We are able to pull a lot of metadata from various stages. And eventually, it's a part of our development plan. We will enable AI-based analytics based on all the data that we are collecting. And that will automatically give you kind of reports or give you advice on which content is selling better, which content needs to be set to which platform. And you can get a real-time, literally a real-time feedback on what is happening through the entire process.
Wow. Any buyers? Any buyers in the audience? I mean, he's giving you one centralized solution which you put in stuff, you get it ready for uplinking. I mean, again, I wish I had the money, I would buy in at some stage. But you've been...
You didn't even ask me how much it's going to cost. But
no, so how much is it going to cost? I normally am scared of asking those questions because then the people say it's individual based. It's, every single client. Tell me.
I was about to say the same.
Yeah.
But definitely the idea is that it saves money because you're cutting out a lot of repetition of processes. And end of the day, it's a solution that you can use as long as you want.
And all formats are acceptable by it. It's not that it's...
All formats. It takes in all the input formats are, can range from MXF to MOV to any. In fact, we are using for one of our customers who bring in live feeds from outside. They bring sometimes the worst quality feeds, and we are able to stabilize those feeds and put them back into the system. The fact is that this is nothing new. What we have done is
I understand. New. All you've done is you've labeled it, and secondly,
put it together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. All of these modules we have been using for our customers.
And you're virtualizing it a lot more. That's what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And that's the way the world is going. Grassvalley is going the same way.
It's well tested, well used by our customers. So it's nothing new. It's just putting things together so that people can make better sense of what they're doing. You've seen that there's so many questions, more questions than answers that are coming up these days. The least that you can do is make things easier and simpler.
And you've made it very easy and simple for a person as dumb as me to understand what you're saying. But thank you very much. And it's been a great session. I think I think I've had a great conversation. I hope the audience appreciates what he shared with you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Definitely, yes. And we kindly appreciate the gentleman on the stage. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us and giving us a better way of understanding things and collectively enriching our knowledge. May I take a moment of your time, Mr. Wanvari, to felicitate Mr. Sanjay on stage, please? Can we please put our hands together for both the gentlemen on stage? Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjay, for joining us for the day.